I could remember one of these days that I got drunk, and I was I got drunk in Suleja, and I was moving with my Jeep, a Land Cruiser, and then on Zuma Rock, armed robbers were operating. And in my drunken state, I got out of got out of my Jeep, and I was commanding armed robbers to clear from the road I want to pass. They ignored me, and they were still robbing. They ignored me, they were still robbing, and I hissed. And I with annoyance, I entered my Jeep, and I go back to the city. When the alcohol cleared, I began to recall. I said, did I actually confront armed robbers on the way? Now, God preserved my life. I said, I did that. Welcome, viewers. In our last episode, I told you about how I finished school, and then I was posted for the one-year youth service. That is 1981. We were posted for camp at Ahmadu Hago School in Minna. We were the last batch that Niger State was feeding FCT with. After us, FCT started getting their youth corpers directly posted to FCT. And we were at the camp. I was in Magama platoon, and then it was another a period of drinking. One nasty experience happened. We were to join a trip to go to, outside the Niger State for a party. But fortunately, I couldn't go. And then the coppers that went, they had accident on the way, and two of them died. And we had to. It was a very terrible experience, very, very terrible experience. We finished service, and then I was posted to the Federal Capital Territory, FCDA, and by the time we arrived, I was posted to the Maintenance Department. They were needing estate surveyors then, and when we arrived, they were happy because the management functions in the FCT was very apparent. We had to manage all the facilities that the FCT had. And during my youth service, I was attached with a Land Cruiser Jeep. And then the filling station was free, and so you just fill a fuel coupon, and then you go with jerry cans, they fill your tank, and then we had an opportunity with free services like that. It will be another services on weekend. You go to Jos, from Jos you go to Kaduna, and we'll be junketing. Those of us that we are serving, we are giving accommodation. In fact, the current house I'm staying was allocated to me during my youth service, a two-bedroom duplex as a youth corper, furnished with air conditioners, with fridges, and then with beds, all the basic things that were needed in the house. And so it was another opportunity and added to our type of reckless living. No supervision coming from home again, so it was like a free life. And that was how we were operating. I could remember that in the town then, you virtually know everybody. We were very few, we all virtually know everybody. And then on Fridays like this, you're hurrying to close from the office so they can commence drinking. And drinking starts from Friday to Sunday night. You only break to go to church on Sunday and then resume and continue. You know because we are few, you know the parties that were taking place each night. You know, sometimes they hold about 6 parties. You drink in one when the alcohol is getting exalted, the beer is getting exalted. You say these people can't continue, you move to another one. So you find out that in a night you might drink in 4 parties. And that was how reckless my life was. I could remember one of these days that I got drunk, and I was I got drunk in Suleja, and I was moving with my Jeep, a Land Cruiser, and then on Zuma Rock, armed robbers were operating. And in my drunken state, I got out of got out of my Jeep, and I was commanding armed robbers to clear from the road I want to pass. They ignored me, and they were still robbing. But I know that, God had mercy on me. This is somebody that had a good upbringing, but went back to the world fully. And I didn't know God again. I was drinking and doing all manner of things and womanizing. But God preserved my life. They ignored me. They were still robbing. And I hissed. And with annoyance, I entered my Jeep and I go back to the city. When the alcohol cleared, I began to recall. I said, did I actually confront armed robbers on the way? Now, God preserved my life. I said, I did that. In my right sense, I wouldn't have done that to confront armed robbers. What could have prevented armed robbers from terminating the life of a young graduate? But God preserved my life. And that was the type of recklessness I took to even the church in serving God. In the midst of all this, I was a choir master in a big church. And I would drink with hangover and come to conduct choir. And that was the type of life I was living. And, in this process, I was handling some delicate, the department I was posted to took notice of my commitment to work, because right from home, like I told you earlier on that my father was a headmaster. Right from home, we were given instructions that commitment pays. And with that, I brought it in, and so I was committed to the work. I'll resume work very early in the morning, and then close late. Even if there are work on my table, I must ensure that I finish those work before closing for the day. And so the department I was posted to, even as a youth corps, committed very serious and critical assignments to my hand as a young graduate, because they were looking at sincerity, and I was sincere on my job. I could remember that I was the one that coordinated the first presidential visit to Abuja, when the Mr. President, stayed at Lowos Mandal. He lodged there. I was in charge of the president's accommodation. In the process, when the president was about coming, the split unit air conditioner packed up, and we have to get people to quickly attend to that. I was at the back when the president was inside. I was at the back holding the jar of gas, because he needed to go inside to weld and do other things. But I was holding the jar and other people at the back so that the room would be cooling when the president is there. It was when he took off for his meeting in the town that we came back to work on it, and then the thing was cooling. So I was one of the committed corpers that served during my time. It was a very exciting time, a very loving time indeed. We met a lot of friends that came from Lagos, and then many of them were, at the time we were about closing for youth service, they were making offers and said those that served in FCDA, they are giving automatic employment. And then some people rejected it, and then they went to Lagos, some went to Kano, and then that was how some of us were attracted at a new capital city that was upcoming. I felt, that let me pick up this employment. And that was how I picked up employment with the Federal Capital Territory. It was a Federal Capital Development Authority then, and that was how I started work. I started work with the FCDA. That is in July 1982, immediately after finishing my youth service. The project vehicle they gave to me, I carried it to the employment, and we were all over town. It was a very exciting time. The town was very serene. The town was very peaceful. No cases of wickedness as we have today. You have everything running smoothly. The city was well coming up smoothly, and that was how we grew from the city, from the onset. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Let me outline for you a terrible combination for the destruction of the life of a young man. 2-bedroom flats, 2-bedroom duplex. You are living alone, no wife, fully air-conditioned. A Land Cruiser Jeep. Government is paying for your fuel and everything. And of course, money in your pockets. That's a terrible combination to destroy the life of a young man. And Chris Anejo dived headlong into all of this. Reckless living. But let me talk to you about the mercy of God. Armed robbers are doing their own business and you stopped and asking them to clear away from the road. Your head is correct? But God showed him mercy. It wouldn't have taken 10 seconds for them to waste his life. But what do you think made those armed robbers to neglect him and his stupidity? It's the finger of God. It's the mercy of God. It's extraordinary grace. God was preserving the life of Chris for a purpose. And as we go on, you get to hear of it. I don't know who you are listening to me today. With a young man that good life may seem to have smiled on you like that. Everything at your beck and call. Then you forgot God. You decided to live it up. You could easily lose your life recklessly. He just kill you, just waste you like that. But God showed him mercy. As he continues to tell his story, you will discover that why God spared him. The story is still developing. So I appeal to you to continue to give us your attention. Actually, please subscribe to this, our channel, and forward these clips to your contacts. That is evangelizing. You to be telling people what God can do in the life of a young man who is reckless, who is heedless, who has no thought for his own tomorrow, and is going to confront armed robbers when they are operating. Thank you for your attention today, and God bless you.